What's happening, guys? Safety Liner C2 here. First off, hope you don't mind Jerry being in here. He's probably just wanting to take a nap or annoy me. So how many of you have told someone you know in real life that you like school buses? I have. And you know, it's generally a little bit awkward, at least for me, because there's always that follow-up question. Why? And I don't think I've ever really given a good solid answer, so I am either redirecting you from my personal life to this video, or you're just curious about why I like school buses, so here you go. Here's why I like buses. So why do I like school buses? I honestly don't know, and that's probably why I haven't given a good answer. I just know that I've liked them as far back as I can. Let me tell you what I remember. So as far back as I can remember, I've always liked bigger vehicles, fire trucks, cement trucks, or, garbage, all the big rigs, what little kid doesn't like that? But when you think of big rigs, you generally don't associate school buses with that, right? So one of my earliest memories is me and my family going camping. And I don't remember where it was at. I don't remember what we did. I remember two specific images from this time. We were in a cabin, and I can vaguely make out what the cabin looked like, and I wish that it would have actually been real camping, because I much prefer that. And the second part is going and walking around the gift shop before we leave to go home. Now, mind you, I was probably about 5 or 6 at the time, so to me, walking into the gift shop was, like, super cool at the time. Now, my parents said that my brother and I could each pick out one thing that they would buy, and all I remember is just looking up and seeing it. There it was. This box, all the way up there. I wanted that. That one over there. Well, you know what I'm getting at. And it was something like this. Not this exact one. My original one is somewhere. And, I got this off of eBay a couple months ago because it's honestly priceless to me. But as soon as I saw this, I knew I was hooked. Like, I wanted it, and we got it. So a couple little things about this, which I think really started my interest, is that, first off, the door would open, and then you can't really see it, but there's a crossing gate out over here. And if you look right here, that opens as well when the door opens. So honestly, it was like the coolest thing ever, right? So that's what originally kicked it off. Now, I don't remember if this is before or after I started school, but I just remember really starting to look at the buses every day until I eventually got curious. So I decided to make our way to the family computer in the living room and look up school buses online. So of course, I'm sure everyone did the Google search, and I don't even know if Google Images was around at the time, but you type in school bus and then, the pictures pop up, and, I look at them and they're just, oh, this is so cool, blah, 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 But then I came across a website that really kind of changed everything for me. Somewhere, somehow, I found School Bus Central, which, say 10 years ago at this point, was the place where all the bus people met up online. There were forums, there were all the pictures you could imagine. Everyone ranging from enthusiasts to transportation directors was on that website, and it was extremely active until it got shut down, a long time ago at this point. But one of the things that they had on that website was a gallery feature organized by make and model. Now, I really wanted to learn every single thing that I could about the buses, so I went on that page and I clicked on every single picture under every single make and every single model and figured out everything that I could about them. And that's how I really started to teach myself what the bus manufacturers are, what an Amtrain looks like, what a Thomas looks like, what an IC looks like. That's how I figured it out and learned. In fact, one of the things that I did was I would print out the pictures, cut them out to where it was only the bus, and then I would fold them up, put them somewhere, like a folder or something, and then come back to them a couple weeks later, and then I would write down what the specific make and model is, and now I know all of them. So now at some point we had went to a bookstore, just to get books or do whatever, and I came across a bus model book, and you know I had to get that. I was like, Mom, Dad, I will never misbehave again. Please buy this for me. I will love you for the rest of my life. And they eventually did buy it. But that was important to me because that was, I started seeing other things. It's not just bus models. There are other bus memorabilia, such as, emblems or stuff like that. So that was a really cool experience for me. So at some random point in time, I didn't really have a favorite bus at the time. I had gone through School Bus Central and looked at everything, and I had ideas of what I liked and what I didn't like, but I didn't really have, my favorite bus at the time. But I remember I was in the back seat of our van. We're just driving down the highway, and here comes a C2 driving the other way, and I look at that, and for some reason, I don't know why, that was just like, oh my gosh, that is a nice looking bus. And I know, not everyone agrees. I know, Nashawn, Noah, I know. But to me, I was like, wow, that's a good looking bus. And I think that's why I keep, that's why I like C2 so much. So if you ever wondered, that's why. At this point, I was already making a small collection of buses, probably, 20 or 30, just little Hot Wheels or, whatever else I could get my hands on. And to me, that was the coolest thing because I could, do whatever I wanted with them. They were my buses. So before we decided to move, we were living in Annapolis, Maryland. And, I had lived there my whole life, and we were getting ready to go to Texas, halfway across the country. It's going to be really different there, and it was. So my parents were like, well, is there anything that y'all want to do before, we go down there? Because we're not going to be up here for, however long. It ended up being over 10 years for me until I went back up in that area. But I had somehow found out that there was a bus museum in Hershey, Pennsylvania. Now that's probably like a 2-hour drive from where we were. And I was like, that's what I want to do. I don't care if we do anything else. I want to go up there and I just want to look at the buses. Now, I don't remember a whole lot about it. I just remember walking around, and it was pretty much set up the same as it was the last time I went up there last year. But it was a whole lot of transit buses, city buses, but there was one school bus, and I believe it was a 1954 Wayne Chevy. And I'm never going to forget just looking at it, and I stood in front of it for a picture, and I was so freaking happy because it was just an old, cool, restored school bus. Coolest thing I had seen at the time. So when I went up to Spring Fling in 2018 to that museum that I hadn't been to in over 10 years, it was just really, really cool to me to see all of that stuff and to see that same exact bus that I had taken a picture in front of 10 years ago and just thought it was the coolest thing. It's 2007, we moved to Texas at this point. One of the first things I remember about Texas was standing at the bus stop to go to my first day of 5th grade and waiting for the bus to come around the corner. All I knew is that it was bus 1016, but I didn't know anything else about it. Now I was super excited because I was ready to ride a C2, but it turned out to be a CE, which was just as cool because I had never seen one in person. Mind you, like I said, 2007, they were still fairly new. And the fact that Maryland did not, at the time, really run any Type Cs besides C2s. So now I start learning more in-depth stuff about it, like what LEDs are, why isn't a crossing gate required in this state but it is in this state. Started learning stuff like that. So sometime in 2007, I eventually found YouTube. Mind you, like I said, 2007, YouTube is still fairly new at this point. And so I decided to do like I had in Google, and just type in school bus and see what pulls up. Now what I found on there just blew my mind because, like I said, YouTube was still fairly new. I didn't realize that people were taking videos of buses, and one of the first videos I remember watching was just a slideshow of pictures for like 2 or 3 minutes. So I had the speakers turned up pretty loud, and there was music going on in the background of this video. It's nothing bad. But my mom was downstairs and heard it, and she's like, hey, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, I'm just on YouTube. Like I said, 2007. Oh, no, you shouldn't be on there. That's not a good website for you. Like blah blah blah, you know. And so I was like, okay, fine, fine. So close out of YouTube, not to come back to it for, you know, a little while. Now, after this YouTube incident, I decided to go look for other things, and I found plenty of new websites. School Bus Land, School Bus Explorer, plenty of other defunct websites that you've probably never even heard about. And this gave me more ideas on what buses really are. I started reading up the Wikipedia articles that were written at the time and started learning about the old defunct manufacturers and why school buses are yellow. Like I said, you know, learning the more in-depth stuff about buses and not just, you know, who makes them. So going back to the family computer, it moved with us to Texas, and I guess there was like some, you know, game thing on there where, you know, you could search up game like Steam, like an old version of Steam. And so you know what I did, I went in there and I typed in school bus, and what do you know, something popped up. Bus Driver, the original game. Oh my gosh, I cannot tell you how many times I played that, and it was so much fun to me at the time. You know, I'm sitting there driving buses, and, you know, there were transit buses, there were school buses, there were city buses, there were, you know, everything was on there. And it was only, I think it was 25 levels or something, but I just went through that game and started replaying it over and over and over again, because a school bus video game, why not? So at this point, I was starting to make some friends in the school bus community off of the forums that were up at the time, you know, talking with people on a regular basis. One of them introduced me to a website called Baden Transportation, which, you know, I had never heard of it. I thought it was like a real bus company. So come to find out after joining it, it was a fake, made-up company where you typed out the scenarios of what happened. It was basically like an ROR company, but all in text. You know, so this is before I started doing ROR, and I thought, what the heck? Why has this not been a thing forever? Like, okay, I'm joining this. So after joining that, I eventually started meeting more and more people, and at this point, you know, I was getting older, so I decided at some point, I have no idea how much time passed in between now and the story and the last time I was on YouTube, but I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get on YouTube. I don't even care what happens. What the heck? Why not? So I go in YouTube, I type in school bus and see what all pulls up, and you know, there was so much new stuff that had popped up. I started seeing videos from people like AJ, ICFE300, Joe, BusLover333, Matt's 4290. I started seeing their content, and it was so cool to me because there were other people who were posting the things that I wanted to see on there. Now, one of those videos that caught my attention was from Joe. Now, he's only a couple years older than me and was probably about 16 at the time, but he was posting videos of the school bus that he bought. And at the time, I'm like, what? You can buy a school bus? Like, I want it when I'm as old as he is, you know, like 16 or whatever. I want to buy a bus too. Totally didn't happen. So I start watching him, really getting into all of these videos, like Joe posting his school bus collection. I was like, whoa, he has so many of them. They're so cool. Like I want to have that many one day. You know, stuff from AJ where he was posting just videos of the ride along, or from Matt when he was starting up his buses, just doing cold starts. And I thought, this is the coolest thing ever. I want to do this too. So in December of 2010, I decided to create my own YouTube account so I could start subscribing to these people, adding them to playlists, you know, liking them, doing whatever I could do with them at the time. Now one day, it just hits me, why don't I go out and record a video? Like, I want to get as many views as these people do. I want other people to see what our buses look like, what this, blah, 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 you know, whatever. Now, my brothers would ride their bikes home from school because we only lived like a mile away from the school, and when they did ride their bike, I would ride my bike down there to go pick them up since I was in middle school at the time, and they were still in elementary school. So one day, I ride my bike and just, you know, go to the school like 10-15 minutes early just to get some pictures and a video. So once I get there, I decide to pull out my flip phone. Yes, I had a flip phone. if you ever wondered how old I am, and just sit there and record. Just hit it, and let's see what happens. Hopefully I get a good video out of it. So what you're seeing on screen now is said resulting video. Yes, I know it does not look good. 2011, flip phone. Just shut up about the quality. It's improved since then, so stop complaining. But at that point, I didn't know what to do with it, so I didn't upload it for a couple weeks. You know, what am I going to do with it? I don't know how to upload it to YouTube. I don't know how to get it off my phone. So maybe about a week passes after I recorded that video, still didn't know what to do with it. And, you know, we were driving, and I knew that there was a bus sales place that we were going to pass by, which we would pass on a pretty regular basis. I already knew what it looked like, but I wanted everyone else to see what it looked like. So I pulled out my phone, hit record, and got us, you know, driving by it, you know, only like a 5 or 6 second clip. So then I got the next bus sales place up the road and the bus garage that wasn't too far behind that. And so at this point, I'm like, you know what? I am going to upload these, and I'm going to figure out how to do it. I don't care what it takes, I'm going to figure out how to do it. Now, I don't remember how I did it, because that was a long time ago, but somehow I uploaded those videos 8 years ago to the day. So at some point in summer of 2011, I'm just sitting there on the couch watching TV. I didn't have anything to do, and I guess my mom didn't have anything to do either, because she was like, "Hey Cam, you want to go up to those bus dealerships?" And I was like, "Wait, what, are you serious?" She was like, "Yeah, I'll just pretend that I'm looking for one to convert to an RV or something, and then you can go look at all of them." And I'm like, yes. Yeah, let's do that. Now, there were 3 bus dealerships within 5 miles of me, and they were on the same stretch of highway. 2 of them were right next to each other. So we go to the first one, and I'm taking pictures, and I'm just loving this. It was so cool, and I'm taking videos, and we go to each bus dealership and just do the same exact thing. And it was so cool to me, you know, to actually sit there and push these buttons and watch the stop sign come out, or, you know, open the manual door. That was so much fun to me at the time, because I had never done anything like that, and I didn't ever think that I was going to ever do anything like that. So that was a really, really cool experience for me at the time. So I do a couple other videos like this until eventually I'm like, you know what? I want to do something different. I don't want to just record. I want to help other people learn. I want to explain what I know to these people, so that if there are people like me, then I can tell them what I know, and if they don't know, then I can help them learn or whatever. So I pulled out the laptop and hit record and just started talking about whatever. And that's how I really started doing YouTube. I just started, you know, what the heck, why not? I'm going to share what I know with people. And, you know, if people want to watch stuff about school buses, then I'll be here. But I really wanted to differentiate myself from everyone else. And that is why I started deciding to do those like this style video. Like, I'm sitting here talking to you, because no one else did those. No one else just sat here and talked about school buses face to face. They were just, you know, showing off school buses doing this. And that's what differentiated myself from everyone else. There was a face to the name. Now, at some point between me playing bus driver and me starting to do YouTube, one of my friends introduced me to rigs of rods. I didn't really understand how it worked, so, you know, it was just kind of, whatever, I'll figure it out later. Now, fast forward back to 2011, this friend wanted me to get on multiplayer with him. But, you know, I couldn't figure out anything on there. It was too complicated for me at the time. So then I start reading up, and I figure out how to work everything. I figure out how to install a couple buses, and I start driving around, and it was really fun. Like, why is this not any easier? Now, I had been posting videos on a regular basis now, and somehow I came across Noah's channel and stumbled upon his very first video and commented on it not too long after it went up. Apparently, I was his first ever comment, so yay me. Now, at some point during this video, Noah had pointed out that one of those little Hot Wheels Crown Super Coaches was a Bluebird All-American, and I have this pulled up, and I said, I was watching the vid, and those are not Bluebird All-American REs, those are called Crown Super Coaches, very nice old bus. just trying to be helpful and trying to educate those of us who did not know about Crown Super coaches because, they're kind of a West Coast thing. And this boy, he responded, "Thanks, but I will think what I want." Now, I can say that that's pretty accurate to how him and I talk today, but, at the time, that's like, no, 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 no. You don't know what you're talking about because you thought that a Crown Supercoach is a Bluebird All-American. So I was like, okay, let's start watching more of his videos. Let's see what else I can call him out on. I don't remember if I ultimately called him out on anything else, but I started commenting on his stuff, and, we eventually became friends and, did collabs and whatnot. So eventually I started finding people in the Houston area who were school bus enthusiasts, and I met John. Now, John, as ironic as this is, happened to live in the same exact neighborhood as me, and I'd probably seen him around at some point. He went to the rivalry high school. He lived within 5 minutes of me. It was like, and he had his bus. So we get to talking, and we eventually decide that we want to meet up because this is so cool, like, finally another bus person in Houston. So we meet up, he takes me on a quick spin around his bus, and that's it. So at this point, I've been doing YouTube for a year. I was still in Baden Transportation at this point for probably like 4 years, and I had been playing Rigs of Rods, starting on a regular basis. Until eventually, no one else was posting Rigs of Rods school bus videos, and I decide, again, to differentiate myself and post some of those videos. So I posted my first Rigs of Rods video, not expecting much, but just doing whatever I did in my first ROR video. I don't know, I'm going to have to go back and find it. So I started posting those on a regular basis and was like, these are actually kind of getting views. People might actually find this interesting. So I started posting more and more. Now, after posting ROR videos on a regular basis, the friend who had originally brought me into ROR decided to bring me into a group called School Bus Enthusiasts? Was that it? No, it doesn't. School Bus Fans, SBF. Yeah, School Bus Fans, and this was a beta group with a lot of the top ROR creator people in the bus world. So we had people like Cadner, we had Volk, we had Grayson, we had, all these other people. If I list them, you're probably not going to know them. But they decided to invite me in there so that I can show off their models. And that's exactly what I did. So I started posting videos of these private models that were kind of exclusive and that everyone wanted. And so after I post like 1 or 2 videos of private things, I'm like, these are actually doing kind of well. So the creators start sending me more and more stuff, and then people start reaching out to me, offering me stuff. And I'm like, what? How? Until eventually someone, Volk, who I think he wasn't in that group at the time, he decided to send me his original Thomas pack that he wanted me to show off. And at the time, because he was posting this on the Rigs of Rods forum, everyone was keeping up with it. I didn't know him. Someone just, they were like, hey, Volk wants to talk to you. Here's his Skype information, however I talked to him. Here's how to talk to him. And I'm like, what? Like, me? So, I message him, he sends me it, I post a video on him, it just keeps going up, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is great, I love this. So I started posting and doing commentary, because eventually there's only so many things that you can point out on a bus on ROR, so I just start talking about whatever's on my mind, and that really got me places. So one of the things that me and my friends decided to do to keep ourselves entertained while still being on the subject of buses was to create virtual bus fleets. Now basically all we would do is we would go into Google Sheets and just base it out of some random place, look up the specs for that specific place, whether it be Houston or Phoenix or wherever, and then we would just come up with a random list of buses and spec them how we wanted to. And me and my friend who did this, we created, we created a ton of these, and just, we would share them with each other and just, oh yeah, I'm specking mine cooler than yours, because, whatever. Now, you couldn't see any of these buses. They weren't in ROR. They weren't, they were all just fictional, but it was so much fun to do because it was, we were just doing what we wanted to do, and that was a lot of fun to me. So at this point, I'm posting ROR videos on a regular basis. I'm posting, whatever these face-to-face videos. Maiden Transportation had died somewhere in there. And, I'm active in the ROR community. I'm active in the bus community, starting posting pictures on Flickr, on stuff like the Facebook groups, and, wherever else I could get myself out there. I was communicating with people and started, really forming the friendships that I have today, probably back around 2012 at this point, 2013. So let's just take out a couple years. I've been posting videos, I've been posting pictures, I'm talking with people in all these different groups, and really, being a school bus enthusiast. Eventually, in 2017, me and a couple other people decided that we were going to start Quantum ISD, which is the ROR company that I own and run today. So in February of 2018, I was living in California at the time. I had been living there for a little while. But I came across a post somewhere. It was for a bus meetup in Oakland, and this was going to take place at the Pacific Bus Museum. Now, the reason this was so cool to me is not because there were going to be a lot of buses there, but there were going to be a lot of unique buses like Super Coaches, Super 2s, Gilligs, and I'd never really seen any of those in person, much less been on one or, done anything with it. So 2 days before I leave to come back and live here in Tucson, I go to that meetup. And like I said, the reason it was so unique is because I'd never really been up close to a crown. You see pictures of them online, but I was like, whoa, this is so freaking cool to me. Like, what? Now, I actually did a whole video on this meetup because it was just so cool to me, but I ended up meeting a couple people there. Now, at that point in time, I had met 2 people beforehand, and I think I went up to like 6 people at the time after that meetup. But Luke, who I've mentioned on the channel a couple times before, he was like, hey, you should come out to Pennsylvania to the Spring Fling, and if you do, I'll let you drive a bus. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going out to Pennsylvania. Like, there's no way. I have no reason to go out to Pennsylvania. But that quickly changed for me. Not too long after I had gotten back here, I was telling her about this meetup that I went to, and I told her that there was one in Pennsylvania, and she was like, oh, you should go to it. So I sat there and I thought about it for a little while, and I ended up deciding that, yeah, I am going to go. And you know what happened? Luke let me drive one of his buses. He followed through with his promise. I got to give him that. And that was the first time I ever drove a bus. 1990 Crown Super Coach. Man, that was a fun bus to drive, and I hope that I can drive that again, or a similar one to it. Now, that meetup was really important to me because I met some of my best friends in person, people that I had been talking to for years on end, and it was just so cool to actually, go full circle. Now I actually can shake your hand and say, hello, I'm Cameron. It's nice to see you, or, whatever. So that was a really big deal for me, and I hope to be able to go to more meetups in the future. And I've just been really, like I said, just posting videos and being active in all these groups since, say, 2011. And that's how I got into school buses, I guess. So some people also ask me, well, do you want to be like a bus driver when you grow up? Answer, yeah, no, not really. I actually don't. Am I going to be a bus driver at some point? Yeah, probably. Let's be real, I probably will do it, but it's nothing that I can ever see myself actually sitting, and doing every single day. I don't know why, I just never have been able to see myself doing that. Now, some people ask, well, school buses are weird. That's kind of the point of this video. Like, why do you like school buses? That's really weird. And it's like, well, why do people like 18-wheeler? Why do people like, exotic cars? Why do people like cats? Why do people go train spotting? Why do people, take pictures of airplanes? It's same idea, just a different vehicle. I mean, if you got something against it, fine. Just don't worry about it then. It's not a big deal. So, going back to the original question, Why do I like school buses? Well, it has to do a lot with this model right here, or, well, my original model of this and not the specific one, and probably the community. I've met tons of my really, really good friends through school buses. I've met up with dozens of them, and it's, you know, this is, I don't know. I just do. Sorry, I can't really give you a better answer than that, but I hope the history of how I got into school buses kind of gives you more of an idea of my crappy answer of I don't really know. So that's pretty much it. I hope you now know why I like school buses, again, because I don't really know, or at least how I got into them, and yeah. So yeah, guys, that is pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe right down here. It's a magical red button that says you are now subscribed to Safety Liner C2. Make sure you comment up here, down here, over here, or over here. I don't know where they put it, down and care where they put it. Make sure you also give this video a thumbs up, or Jerry is going to take up the whole bed tonight. And make sure you also share this video with your friends. Show it to your mom, share it to your dad, show it to a guy on a random street. I don't care, don't get raped. So yeah, guys, that is pretty much it. And thanks for watching.